Yeah, so firstly, I'll come over this side. Thank you for allowing me to be back here again. So there's some familiar faces in the room, which is great. I found out that I missed out in first place by about 0.15% in terms of speakers for last year. So at least I know after today I'll be the highest ranked speaker you've had in 2019. Right? There's a goal. All right? So today my goal is to set the bar high. It's an honor to actually be back here. So today I've been asked if I could just share some information on goal setting for organization or businesses. And so I'm going to take a little bit of a journey through goal setting and why it's so important for businesses, but why I believe that we should be setting goals in a certain way with our organizations. And a lot of this information probably won't be anything new to many people in the room, or it could be just a great refresher, or it might be new to some people, a different way to think about how to set goals for our organization. Okay, so that's what I want to take through. I'm very happy to answer questions as we go along. For me, today's not like about doing a big presentation per se. Just want to take it on a journey. If we want to ask questions, please, let's just ask them as we go along. And at the very end or towards the end of it, I'm going to give you what I have got here, which I call the model business canvas, which is what I use with clients to actually help them how to structure their organization in terms to really identify what their goals are. So I'm going to give you each a copy of these, and we'll do a little bit of a work through this format, because based on some of the things you've been doing, the great work you've been doing with Bob here, well, you might have a lot of those details, so we can sort of get a template for you then to start creating your goal boards for this year for your organization, okay? And then also, I'll be sending to you guys at the very end of it, thanks to some help with some people in the room, I've developed actually what this will actually end up being much like a big pull-up banner like that, but a infographic on actually how to drive your organization from purpose through to profits. And I'll be sending the PDF of this here to all of you, or through to Bob, and they'll pass it through to you guys, so you'll all get a copy of that as well. Okay? So that's my gift to you for 2019, for making me the #1 voted speaker for the very first beginning of the year. Bribe. All right. So I want to get started. I just understand the work I do with clients and stuff, and certainly it's all around what I call building a model business. And it's about creating a simple way to look at culture and strategy. So what I like to do is help people hack culture and strategy, because we have this old mindset that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Right? We've all heard it, Drucker and all these people have said it for years. But what if it didn't have to do that? What if actually culture and strategy could be in alignment, where culture ended up protecting strategy instead? And that's the work that the people, and then imagine if you could set that up so that it didn't do that anymore, so it actually, your strategy was protected, and then you could simplify it right down into just what do I need to do in the next 90 days? But knowing that all of that was in total alignment to becoming the organization that you need to become or build to create the world that you want to see. Would that be cool? Great. Well, that's what we're going to run you through. All right. We just want to make sure we're all in the right room. So I like to start with a little bit of humor. And since this is a goals workshop, after today, I don't want you all walking out, this is not going to be one of those types of goals workshops. Okay. I was just at this goals workshop this morning, and it's just amazing. Your life won't be much different than it is today, that you might have a little bit more information on how to use it going forward. Also, I think this is great, because a lot of times in organizations, when we're setting goals and we're communicating them to our teams, we're maybe not communicating them to our teams I thought I'd already expressed to you that this is what we wanted done. So just a reminder that the importance of goal setting within organization is to make sure you actually physically verbalize those to your team, so they can actually involve them in the process, so they can take a part of ownership of it. Because sometimes as leaders, we just get so busy, we set the goals with it, and we make an assumption that we think everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing or what the goals of the organization are. But when I do engagement surveys of a lot of organizations that I work with, and I say, has the strategy or the goals been clearly explained to you? 50% of them would say no. Yet the leaders would say yes. Okay, so somewhere there's a disconnect between what we think the goals are, or what we know the goals to be, and what our team or employees think the goals are. So we need to make sure we're very clear on that. So just a couple of quick points of that. Now, interesting enough, what is the goal of a business? There's a definition that was come up by a man in 1970, Milton Friedman. He actually won a Nobel Memorial Prize for Economic Sciences. And this was his definition, basically, of the goal of a business. The primary purpose of a business is to maximize profits for its owners, stakeholders, while maintaining corporate social responsibility. And what he was talking about there was just being ethical in the way you go about it. So I'm going to tell you that this Nobel Prize-winning a gentleman from back then today is wrong. Okay? That is not the purpose of your business. So one thing I'm going to challenge anybody on who thinks that my business exists to make a profit, that you're wrong. Okay? Now, a lot of people have gotten into business because they want to make money, but my question has always been, okay, great, why did you choose that business? Why did you choose to start this business to make money? You can, if money is your goal, you can do that making anything. Why did you choose this one in particular? And that would come back to probably the fact that you found a problem that you'd like to solve in the world for somebody and knew that you could probably use your talents and abilities, and you're pretty excited about that, and make money from doing that. So we need to get back to the essence, actually, why our business exists is to solve problems for people. All right? People don't need windows. What they need is the ability to bring the outside to the inside. And they buy windows because of that. Right? You don't make money from selling windows. You make money from creating this great experience or design feature that allows either to keep the cold out or allow the cool in, or keep the cool in, or vice versa. And through that, I can enjoy that experience. That's why people buy windows. Right? That's the problem you're going to be solving for people. I know that because I spoke at AGA. And you know your industry just merged, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. I'd like to get your opinion on that later. But anyway, so I just want to really make sure that we understand profit is very important, and we'll talk about that. But I like to put profit where it belongs, as I put it. It's not the outcome of your business. It's the outcome of you serving customers and that value transfer that you're creating. So if you want, who'd like to make lots of money? There's nothing wrong with it. Profit's not a dirty word. The simplest formula to make lots of money is solve lots of problems for lots of people. Who would like to make gobs of money? Right? Solve massive problems for a massive amount of people. That's it.
That I agree with.
Yeah, that's right.
The profit comes with that.
Yeah, but if your business just exists to make money, you're going to be in a lot of danger. Because I'll show you a couple organizations who lost sight of that. Okay, so and I've used these a lot in different organizations. So Kodak, we sell Kodak film, very rusted old sign there. And then we all know the story of Kodak, right? Right. So it's bouncing back today. So it's coming back to some extent. But the largest company in the world in its time. And how did it make its money?
Selling film.
Selling film. Okay. And what put Kodak virtually almost out of business?
Digital camera.
And who invented the digital camera? Kodak. Right. So the company that created the digital camera thought, no, we make money doing this. Our business exists to serve our shareholders, and this is how we make money today. And we make money through processing film, and we make bucket loads. But what they didn't have is the foresight to understand how fast people would pick up the digital camera. So they sold the rights to the digital camera away, and someone else created it. Now, who remembers Kodak's slogan? Or its purpose, if you want, for creating Kodak moments. Yeah, creating Kodak moments. This is why Kodak, the whole thing was creating Kodak moments. Take a picture and capture the moment. My question to you then is, how many moments can you actually create with a digital camera? Infinite. Yeah, but with film, you can only create so many. It's, who didn't love going to Big W and putting your film in and coming back a week later to get all the things where the heads are half cut off and milky picture, it didn't come out clear because the focus was wrong or whatever like that. Gee, go buy another roll of film and take it again. That's why they made so much money. But actually, the reason why the business existed was to create Kodak moments. So if they focused on just making money, which they did, what happened to that business? But if they had actually focused on, hey, our business exists to create moments, and how many more moments could we create with a digital camera for our clients, or a problem we solve for people, how we help them make more moments or even more special moments, or capture the perfect moment, because they could take 10 shots at one time. What they would have done is said, currently this is how we make money, but because of why we make money, we need to find a way to transform this business model into this business model. But if they just focused on profits and shareholder returns and Milton Friedman's definition, they would end up exactly where they did. hindsight, it's wonderful for us. Now, we weren't in the business at that time and things like that, so it's easy for us to judge Kodak or the strategic leadership team at the time. But what we can do today is learn from that. Yet the funny part is that one of the most recent other giants of the world, Sears, just went to bankruptcy. Now, you may not know Sears, but it also owns Kmart. Right? So you guys are familiar with Kmart. But Sears has now gone into bankruptcy. And the Sears story, it's a little bit interesting, but if you look up on their thing, their mission, build customer relationships, make more money, improve every day. This is the Canadian Sears, but it's still part of the whole Sears program. So here we are, probably 20-something odd years later, an organization like Sears, once again, the largest in the world at its time, the number one retailer. Now it got knocked off number one spot by Walmart. Okay, Walmart then pushed Sears down. Sears never bounced back from that to get back to number one. But then along came another company called Amazon, which then challenged both Walmart and Sears. But then what it did is it killed Sears, and Walmart has found its way to move forward. And I can tell you how that happened. But Sears, once again, it was focused on making money, not what it really was there to solve the problems for its customers. So the challenge is when you're just there to make money, then you just have what I call a business model that says, here's how we make money. But then when the consumer or the market no longer wants it that way, then you're SOL. Because the consumers now said we want it this way, and your business is built on doing it this way. But if your business is built on solving problems for your clients or your customers, and your customers go, I don't like it that way anymore, you go, you beauty, we'll do it this way now. Because we're here to solve problems for our customers. This is why our business exists. And through that, adapting, so why our business exists won't change, but how we do it and what we do can and will change throughout the years. And this is why when we're setting goals, we need to make sure we're setting goals based on the purpose of our business, not on just profits alone. Profits are very important to our organization, there is no question. But if anything, history has taught us that even way back when it happened to Kodak, and it just happened to Sears, and there's a whole bunch of other businesses in between, and I'll show you a couple more of them, but they're not learning. And these are the biggest companies in the world. We're just small business owners here, right? We don't have all the talent, all the resources, all the money, all the intelligence, all the things that these big guys have. And they still failed. And they still failed. And they didn't choose to learn the lessons from their predecessors or other big organizations because their ego got in the way, because they were making so much money. Because that's what they were focused on. There's a difference about talking about caring about your customers and actually doing it. Right? So actions and words don't match in a lot of these organizations, because in the end, when you get behind the scenes in the boardroom, it's all about shareholders and returns on investment. A couple other examples. Anyone remember Monster? Job boards? The job boards, right? Which is, Seek is probably the dominant job board now. Monster, actually, when you look at what it started with, it was supposed to be what LinkedIn is today. But they took their eye off of why their business existed and what they were building, and looked at how we could keep making returns for our shareholders. And that's why most people, well, Monster, oh yeah, I think I remember Monster. Yet Monster was only probably in the last 10 years. It was like the largest jobs board in the world, and it was supposed to evolve to become what LinkedIn is today. If you look at why they started that business and what they were hoping to accomplish in the world. But at some point, it became more about how do we drive more revenue for our shareholders and more profitability for our shareholders. And then guess what? They took their eye off the customer, and what happened? Nobody remembers who Monster is today. Great Canadian company, BlackBerry. Right? Loved Blackberries. Jim Basili, I think his name was, the owner of BlackBerry. He, once again, got more interested in how do we make more money. And they had this really cool technology. They had a competitive advantage, the push technology that they created. And they were so focused on that, and they were making gobs of money doing that, and they couldn't see the iPhone and everything else coming around. I actually remember I was doing some work back in Canada at the time, with a gentleman who was doing all the video stuff for BlackBerry. And his business was worth $500 million, just like $400 and something million on all this for video technology. And I actually, Wayne was his name. And I said, Wayne, like, what do you reckon? This is when TomToms first came out, right? And I said, well, don't you think they're going to put that on here one day? He goes, no, never happened. People always want to have that. It'll be in your car. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, I'd just have one device where it had it on there. And of course, we now know today you got Google Maps and everything on your phone. But they weren't anticipating the future needs of the business because we're too focused on here's the things that we're doing to make money in our business. Again, not building their goals off of the problems that they're solving in the world for their clients, built their goals off how we make money for our shareholders. And in small business, you're the shareholder, so I get there's an intent to want to make money for yourself. But I'm hoping the message is starting to come through very clearly here that when you do that, no matter how much talent, ability, resources, money, everything you already have, you will still fail if you're only focused on how do I make money. Dick Smith as well, great Australian company. Same thing, right? These were all killed because they weren't anticipating the future needs of their customers. Because they were trying to anticipate the future needs of their shareholders. What are the future needs of your shareholders? Yeah, that's kind of obvious, right? So that's the easy one. What do your shareholders want? They want more money. Great, how do I make more money? And then when we start focusing just on that, that's what happens. But because you've taken your eye off your customers, if you don't know what the future needs of your customers are going to be, then guess what's going to happen to your shareholders? All right. So when we're doing goal setting, it's critical that we focus on this. Now, profit is not a bad thing, which I'll talk to you in a moment. But so this, and some of you have seen my presentation before, this is one of my little quotes I use, but I believe that every business model has a shelf life. My question to you, especially is when you're thinking about your goals of your organization, has yours expired and you just don't know it yet? Because Kodak's business model had expired and they just didn't realize it or weren't willing to accept it. Even Toys R Us's business model wasn't. Blockbuster, Video Easy, Sears, all of them wasn't. It had already expired and they just didn't realize it or weren't willing to accept it. Because at the moment, they were still making money doing those things. So when you think about your business model, one question I always ask business leaders is, 5 years from now, if you think about the way you're doing your business today, 5 years from now, do you think that how you do business and what you do is still going to be relevant in 5 years from now? If you have an inkling or a doubt that you think it will still be relevant in 5 years from now, what are you doing about it? Because when we talk about setting goals for your business, we want to make sure we're setting goals for that and who we need to become to have a relevant business in the future rather than for the business we have today. Because everything we do today should be planting seeds to build the business that we want to have to stay relevant in 5 years from now. So when's the best time to start thinking about the business you need 5 years from now?
Right now.
Yesterday. Second best time is today. If you haven't already started thinking, I would challenge you today to start thinking about that. Because we get so, and I remember, I think you were talking about, and you were thinking about being on the business. We're so focused in the business, we don't spend much time on the business. What I challenge you to do is step outside your business. Like get out of your business and say, how would I put myself out of business? I was working with a digital marketing company a couple of weeks ago, and they're in a sort of one of those little mini mall type things, and there's a cafe across the road. I said, okay, let's take everybody across the road with a whiteboard and sit here and look back at the digital marketing company and say, we're going to set up a shop right here, digital marketing company here. How would we put those guys out of business? When was the last time you asked how you put yourself out of business? Because I assure you somebody else is. So when we're setting goals, this is the importance here is, are you setting goals just for today? Are you setting goals to build the business you need to build to stay alive 5 years from now? Because business is a long game, but we get so stuck on the short game at the expense of the long game. And this is what these major organizations did, and they failed. And they have way more resources than you guys do. Way more talent than you might have had. All the research, everything, you name it. And they didn't succeed. So I challenge business owners and leaders is to say, hang on, if I'm going to set goals for my business, I need to start thinking, what business do I need to build in the next 5 years? If I think my business model is going to be irrelevant or potentially parts of it irrelevant, what would I be doing in 5 years' time? What do I need to start today to start making that a reality? Because now I'm starting to anticipate the future needs of my market because I need to build a business that's going to meet that. Why you do what you do will still remain, but how you do it today and what you do today may change and will change probably tomorrow or the day after. So are you building goals based on how you make money today, or are you building goals on why you make money? And why you make money is because you're solving problems for people. All we just have to understand is how do those people want those problems solved going forward in the future. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's a difference between a business model and what I call a model business. So some of you might be familiar with the business model canvas. You may have seen this. A very simple thing which pretty much talks about how and what we do to make money. Okay? Which is great, but like I said, every business model has a shelf life. What I challenge people to do is create what I call is a model business, and the difference between the two is very subtle. So a business model says, here's how we make money, and then maybe we'll do some good with that money, which is corporate social responsibility. Okay, I assure you, by the way, corporate social responsibility is not purpose. Putting shoes on the kids in Africa is great, and we should do water and all these sorts of things. That's really important stuff, and we should contribute back to that, but that wasn't why your business was born. That's not what it was there to do. So business model says, make money, do some good with that, and repeat that. Where a model business says, do good first, then make money, then do even more good with that money, and then repeat that cycle. And by means doing good is actually do good, solve a problem for somebody. Why does your business exist? It's there to solve a problem, to build a customer, whatever it is, and solve their problems today and into the future. Then you're going to make money from that. Then if you want to do some really cool stuff with that money and help out other people, I encourage that absolutely. That's corporate social responsibility. It's not the same as purpose. Unless your organization was built to do that in the first place, that's the difference between the two. Okay? Whereas a lot of organizations today are saying, oh, well, we're going to do this really great thing for these people in the world and call that our purpose. Because you know what? Because consumers like that stuff. And when they see us being really good corporate citizens, they'll come buy more stuff from us so we can make more money. So they're doing it with the wrong intent. So what I challenge all of you to do is to really, if you're not clear on it yet, find your purpose. And if your purpose doesn't serve your customers, it's not your purpose. Your purpose must be customer-centric. Because here's the simple way when you're building your organization to think about the goals and structuring that of your organization. If we can get very clear on this is why our business exists, and it's here to solve a problem for these people in this world. So our purpose is there to serve our customers. Then all I need to do is rally a bunch of people to get together to serve the purpose. And then the purpose serves the customers. So when I'm building my team, I want to find people who want to jump out of bed in the morning to help do this in the world, or in our world. And with that will take care of our customers. So when I'm bringing people in and I'm growing my organization based on people who want to share this cause calling or whatever it is to help solve this problem in the world for people. How many of you actually have employees? Okay, great, because some of you are self-employed. How many of you think your employees jump out of bed in the morning and go, gee, I can't wait to make the boss rich today? No, I assure you they don't. So, but if they say, hey, I can't wait to get to work and help solve this problem for these people because I'm really passionate about the work that we do here, that's awesome. And with that, they'll serve the purpose, and the purpose will serve the customers. And with that, guess what? You'll make money, you'll do more good, and you repeat that. So Peter Drucker said that the purpose of a business actually is to create a customer. Which is right. That is actually, by solving a problem for someone, you create a customer. And when that customer creates a value transfer for the services you provided them, you make money. It's not any more complicated than that. All I want to do is make sure we keep our focus where it belongs. Because if we're just worried about making money. So the thing I like to add to this, though, because I'm a firm believer that, we want to actually have people fall in love with our business, why we do what we do for them. Because when people love what you do for them, what do?
They come back and they share your information and it grows.
Yeah, and they tell people, right? So to me, I add this here, is to create a customer that creates more customers. You want brand advocates. I don't want to just solve a problem for somebody. I want to blow their mind so that they go and tell other people. Make sense? Okay. Some reasons why, just to get some now for the logical parts of our brains. We've talked a little bit of emotive stuff. So EY, so Ernst & Young, I don't know if anyone's checked some of these things out. There's some really amazing statistics actually coming out now on organizations that lead on purpose first. And not at the expense of profit, of course, but purpose first. So this is their definition of actually what purpose is to an organization, subtly different to what Milton Friedman had said earlier, which is an aspirational reason for being which inspires and provides a call to action for an organization and its partners and stakeholders, and then provides a benefit to local and global society. So when you think about that sense of what a model business looks like, it speaks to a lot of that same stuff. What do you think are some of the important words in this definition?
Call to action.
Yep. Yeah, very important word. Inspires. So it's a call to action, inspires. And inspires, actually, if you look at the definition or the root of the word inspiration, is to breathe spirit into. Not to pour spirit into, by the way, it's different. But to breathe spirit into, right? So we want to help, so people feel inspired. Absolutely. But the interesting part, and this one to me, when I looked at this, was doing that for its partners and stakeholders. So what it's doing is so if you have suppliers or strategic partners and your employees, all need to be engaged in why your business exists.
If you take a look at the construction industry,
Yep.
they're at odds with each other.
Yeah,
They're to put the suppliers out of business.
absolutely. You would think so, wouldn't you? Well, that's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. Now, I've got some friends who are heavily involved in some of those, and it's just like, yeah, the big guys are screwing the little guys down, and it's like, but you can't do what you do and win the contracts you win without those people. So why, once again, they'll go out of business, or they'll put the people out of business, and which then put themselves out of business. And it'll all turn around eventually, because it'll bite you in the ass.
Microsoft are going to start doing that as well to people like us, because they want to take over supporting people's computers directly.
Yep.
So in their own sort of subscription model, putting people, IT providers like us out of business. So that's, looking 5 years in the future is definitely something we need to be looking at.
Yeah, and that once again is really interesting. So what they're saying is like, because they're worried about their own survival in the future. So, and the way
solve the problems that we're solving.
Yeah.
But they want us to work with them. But yeah.
Yeah, I was just doing some work earlier this week with an insurance brokerage. And one of the things that they're challenged by is that in the future, the underwriters may actually do a lot of the direct stuff that they would use a broker for. So what do you need a broker for now? Right? Right. And then anyone who's in mortgage broking, that's a huge issue. I was just speaking to the state manager of a second-tier bank, and all the work they're doing in fintech and all that right now. There's actually going to be a home loan application thing that'll take you 12 minutes, and you'll get an approval on the spot. 12 minutes. And it's already it links to all the databases and all that, so your ID is 100% checked. It scans your bank statements to proof of income, everything. 12 minutes. All vanilla home loans will be able to be put through this process.
What about identity fraud though?
Well, it checks all your identity, everything like that. So they'd have to steal more than just your wallet to get through the application process. But yeah, well, these I'm sure the things that they've got in there. But he was just explaining to me at a high level, and I'm like, so if you're a mortgage broker, what's going to happen to a big chunk of your business? 40% of your business could be gone. Mind you, after the Royal Commission, 40% of their business might be gone anyway. But once again, if we're not setting goals and thinking ahead of all this stuff about what could happen, so for yourself, that's a great thing. Why are Microsoft doing that? What is in it for them to do that? Then what does that mean to us? And where would we, but if we really understand the problem we solve for our clients, them taking that part of the business might not actually be part of what you do anyway. And something I say to business people, just to give them a sense of hope, okay, is sometimes, I'll just say sometimes as a caveat, but the business you're not in yet is way bigger than the one you are in. You just don't know it. The business you're not in yet is way bigger than the one you are in. And I said that to a friend of mine back up in Geraldton when I was up there. He is a painting company. He's one of the best commercial painting companies in the Midwest. And he actually created an app for his business so that his guys, when they go out, they could do quoting, everything like that. But it would all filter into a system. They could give a quote on the spot, but it would already pre-order all the bits and pieces, everything. And it's called Simple, his little app. He just built it for his own business, and he showed it to me. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. Do you know how many contractors would love to have this? And he's like, well, I just did it for me because it just made our business run smarter and simpler and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, the business you're not in yet is way bigger than the one you are, and you just don't even know it yet. Because that app is going to blow your painting business out of the water. When you actually see what he's created, and he started now sharing it with a couple other people in his industry, and people are just having their minds blown because the business but he's still solving the problem that he wants to in the world.
That's a great comment one-liner.
Yeah.
How do you get business owners to see that?
Yeah, great question. Well, firstly,
I walk into their businesses and I can see it.
Yeah.
They can't see it, and I'm going, why can't you see it?
yeah, because we're so stuck doing what we've always done, getting what we've always gotten, wishing for a new result, and of course, then that's why we're in business, because we're all insane. But once again, this is getting that clear sense of purpose, and some people might have a purpose for their organization statement, and please take this with a grain of salt, but it might not be the right one yet. Or it's clear to why your business really exists. And once you get really clear on why your business really exists, then actually it opens you up to opportunities rather than confines you. And when you're open up to opportunities, then you can see more. But when we have a constrictive or confining purpose statement, or what we have written down, or our mission, whatever you want to call it, that sometimes limit us from seeing those sorts of things. Because it's a lot easier when you go, hey, this is the problem I'm here to solve passionately in the world for people. This is happening. Wow, I can do that, just not doing it the way I do it today. How else could I solve that problem for people?
A lot of it, the difficulty with something like that is as well that a lot of us as small business owners are not business owners sort of internally. We're people that have been doing something and decided to turn that into a business.
Yep.
And if you've only ever run one business, it's hard to get to see the broad picture, I guess. And that's why we're sometimes blind to other opportunities.
Yeah, and and that's a great point. And I think if you haven't read the E-Myth, but the E-Myth talks a lot about that, why people get into business for themselves. And some people have just bought themselves a job. Right? I just don't want to work for some other schmuck, so I'd rather be the schmuck, right? So I'd rather work for myself. But that's what they just bought themselves a job. And then as they get really good at what they do, then all of a sudden we start attaching people, more people want what you do, and it's like, oh my God, now I have to bring more people in, and then before you know it, you have a business, right? And it's just been bolt-ons of just reactive, rather than proactively thinking about what does the future look like, how would I do this, and actually be willing from an ego point of view to say, I'm not the best person to run this business, but I'm really good at this. You might be the best person to sell it, but you might not be the best person to run it, as an example. You might be best face-to-face with the clients, and I say the challenge with leaders and visionary leaders is you've got to be careful not to fall in love with the baby, right? And sometimes you're the baby. So be very careful that you've created this thing, but you have to be willing to let go or bring other people in. But how do you do that if you don't have a reason why they're going to jump out of bed to come join you in that calling? But tough question, Alan, but that's why you guys get paid what you do. If it was easy, then you wouldn't have a job. Just understand that. All right, so some other stuff, some statistics actually from that. This is 474 executives around the globe that they surveyed. 58% of them who had a clearly understood purpose experienced a 10% or more growth in the last 3 years. And this study was actually done last year. 2017, this one. So since the financial crisis. And 84% of them believe a strong sense of collective purpose drives employee satisfaction. Kind of a bit of a no-brainer. If people are engaged or love the work that they're doing or feel greater sense of meaning in the work they're doing, they're going to work better. Actually, there's another report that says purpose-driven organizations, their employees are 1.4 times more productive than those of profit-driven organizations. Like purely profit-driven organizations. So if you want to increase your productivity by 1.4% but not pay people more to do it, make sure they have a clear understanding of why they do what they do. And make sure you have a clear understanding of why your business does what it does. And you'll increase their productivity. I was just working with a very large air conditioning company, one of my clients, and we were talking about this. And they're talking about some of the stuff they started doing now as a result of the coaching we're doing, and actually getting the people to take more ownership in certain parts of their roles and looking at metrics and ways they could measure their own activities and performance. And they said, you wouldn't believe the change in people's attitudes in terms of the work that they're putting out now, just because they decided to get them more engaged in understanding why they're doing what they're doing. It's amazing. But if you're just a profit-driven company, so the challenge here is you need to know what success is for your organization, okay? Because once you know what success is, before you start your action steps towards that, you'll now have a clear sense of roadmap as this is where I'm going. This is what I'm building. But if you don't know what that is, just how can I make more money? What is it that we're building? What is the future of our organization? What is success going to look like? When we sat here in 3 years' time and looked back and said, what would success look like 3 years from now, 2022? And we said, okay, this is what it would look like for us. Great. Then all I have to do is go back to today and say, what would I need to start doing then? What's the roadmap from here to there? But if I don't know what that looks like, we build our business by default and circumstance. We react to whatever's happening in the market. And then you're being affected by everything that's happening around us. And I always challenge organizations as well to say you can either affect change, you can make change happen, or you can be affected by change and allow it to happen to you. One you're not in control of, you can only control how you respond to it. The other you're in total control of because you can create what the hell you like. Right? Now here's the exciting part. In the past, we knew it'd be 10 years of this, 10 years of that, 10 years of this, 10 years of that. It was very predictable the way the market and everything would run, right? Today, predictability is out the window. And I don't think it'll ever come back, to be honest. But the exciting part of that is there's no opportunity in predictability. But there's plenty of opportunity in uncertainty. So we're looking at this uncertain future. Well, guess what? Then you can start creating whatever the heck you like because nobody has a clue what is supposed to happen or what it's supposed to look like. Nobody has a clue. So now is our chance to create whatever the heck we want to anticipate the future needs of the people we want to serve to solve the problem that they have. And how and what we choose to do that with today and tomorrow will be different. Because everything else is changing around us. And it was Jack Welch who said, if the rate of change outside your business far exceeds the one that's happening inside your business, the end is near. Right? And he was a pretty smart guy. So, how do you create business goals and objectives then? Well, to me, it's making sure that every goal ties back to the mission and the vision of your organization. Okay, that's your compass. And I'll show you how to make sure you get a very clear sense of mission and vision for your organization in a moment. But it has to be reverse engineered from that. So here, and please feel free to write this down. I'm going to just, where's the markers here? I think for those who were here last, did I do a thing on human behavior? No, anyway, if it's here, I'll do it quickly now anyway. So I want to do a little quick, so on a blank piece of paper, please see this process on the left-hand side here. Please just write that down. So success, results, behavior, attitude, conditioning, space, repetition, inputs. Okay, it's really important to understand this when you're goal setting because who's going to achieve the goals of your business? You and your people, right? So if we don't understand people, how are we going to help them achieve higher levels of performance than they're already doing? Because unless you're going to set goals that are exactly the same as what you've achieved this year, there's no need for growth. There's no need for change. Correct? Just keep doing what you've always done. But if you're doing what you've always done in a market that's going like this, or a world that's going like this, who knows what it's going like, then you're probably falling behind. So when I talk to people about goal setting, we really need to understand human behavior first, because if we do what we've always done, we get what we've always got. Now, if you want a new result, then you need to change the way we do things. Is that fair? Right? Otherwise, the definition of insanity. The problem with the change the way we do things is we can change the behavior for a short period of time, and with willpower, you can make some changes. But for a sustainable change in the way we do things to change the results we like, that requires a change in thinking. So if we continue thinking the same way we've always thought in our business, then guess what? You're going to end up getting the same actions anyway, because how I think determines how I act. And we've known this for human behavior for hundreds of years. So if we want new behaviors to drive new results, we need new thinking. Fundamental in goal setting, we need to shift the way we think about our business. We need to shift the way we think about our jobs, our roles, the way we structure things. Because without that, you won't get new and sustainable behavioral change. So, for human beings, success, however you choose to define that for yourself, that's up to you, has come from your results. So I've accomplished all these things in my life, and it culminates in my picture of success that I'm either or not enjoying in my life right now. And what we know about human behavior, of course, or results, is that it's come from how I've behaved. I've done these things, it's giving me these results, right? And once again, what we know about human behavior is our attitudes, okay, the habits of thinking that we have. How I think determines how I act. So if you're looking at yourself and or your teams, the attitudes that they have been conditioned into them through a process of spaced repetition of a bunch of inputs. Parents, teachers, media, society, all this stuff we've learnt from people we valued their opinions on have conditioned us to think like this, which drives this behavior, gets us the results we're getting and the success we're either enjoying or not enjoying in life right now. Okay, fair? Simple? So if all of a sudden I want to get new results, I want to have new things or have new targets hit or whatever for my own life or goals to achieve my own life, what I need to do then is work out, well, who would I need to become? Who would I need to be to have those things? Because it would be fair to say I'm not the person I need to be yet, otherwise I'd already have them. So if I work out what I want to have, who do I need to be to have that? And then here's the little mic drop moment. How would I need to behave to achieve those things? And then how would that person think? And I just take all that and I'll bring that down here as the new inputs to my life and business. So when you're working with your teams, what does success look like to them? What would they see as success? What results would they like to have that they don't have in their lives right now? How would they need to behave to get those results? What could they be doing in work to help them get to where they want to go? And then how would they need to think to drive that? Because what people want today, and is it Peter? Yeah, you were talking about the new world of work. In the new world of work, people want coaches, not bosses. Right? With the new generations coming through and everything like that, they're looking for people to coach them, because real leadership today is about helping people become the best versions of themselves so they can do their life's best work while they're in your care and beyond. So our job, if we want to help them achieve greater success or more goals in our organization, this is coaching right here. All my job now is to coach my team into the new way of thinking that's going to drive the right behaviors to get them the results that they want by becoming who they need to be. Because my job is to help people become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while they're in my care and beyond. Does that make sense?
Can I say though, coming from a big organisation,
Yep.
though they have that model in coaching program,
Yep.
the attitude of the organisation hasn't changed. So although they implement this in with their staff,
Yep.
it doesn't work in a large scale. And I'm talking in like a government
Oh, yeah.
environment, having worked there for 16 years. They have this business model. I was a coach and I was a team leader and manager within DHS. And although you've got this deadwood, it's very hard to change that thinking, because the mindset is, well, it's not going to change. Even if I have these goals, I'm never going to get that opportunity because this person's in front of me and they're connected. And this is, although this model does work in a bigger organisation, it doesn't. Because I've seen it. And
Yep.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But from that side, coming in that side on business, it didn't work. They've got to have the same passion for the business
Right.
in order to get that change. Like
Why didn't it work?
apathy.
Yeah. And who
No change, even though they did it. It
Yeah.
still was the same thing they were doing over and over again. It
Right.
didn't change.
Right, because what didn't change is because nobody held them to account to that. You can go through the motions,
Yes.
tick the box, hey, we did the coaching session, we talked about that, but where's the accountability in the process? Right, and I would challenge also, because I've dealt with DHS in the other organizations I've been a part of, was it driven from the top? Was it spoken from the top, but were the top leading it, living it, and loving it? Were they doing it? Not likely. The fish rots from the head down. Now, once again, none of us are in large corporate organizations, so the beauty is we have control of that. And I agree, it is a challenge for those. Like I read the article about the Commonwealth Bank CEO has said, oh, cultural change is going to take a long time. It's going to take us 10 years to change the culture of banking. What it just means is we're too lazy and can't give a shit about doing it. We're too apathetic, and it's going to be too hard, so we're not going to do it because we know it's not going to work. But when they could do it, within 2 to 3 years, easily, they could shift the whole culture of that. But what it is, or it tells you either they have the apathy or they don't have the right leadership in that organization who's willing to do what it takes to make it happen. And that's what the challenge for some business is. Right? Yep.
What do you say about, every business has, the grunt workers who have to come in and do the same mundane job day in, day out. You sit down with them and go through goals, visionaries, what do they want, all that sort of stuff. That still mundane job has to be done. How do you create vigour and drive and want some changes out of a guy's got to stand on a stamping machine all day?
Yeah, great question. So they want to stand on the stamping machine all day, every day for the rest of their lives?
They don't want to. But,
Right, so what do they want to do then?
But what do you do with it? No, I know, but what do you do with that role that the stamping machine still has to operate, for instance?
No, absolutely. I actually, I don't know if I shared with the guys last time, but I've worked with a metal stamping company in Canada, F&P Manufacturing. They were a tier 1 supplier to Honda, actually. They did all the hydroforming and stamping and all that for parts of suspension for the Honda Odyssey vans and the Civics and all that sort of stuff. So, and actually the guy that I spoke to on the floor, he was in charge of the big stamping machine. Quite funny.
So how do you invigorate him?
Well, so here's what happened. Quick story with him. So they're walking around with the CEO, and we're just going through the floor, and the yellow lines and all that bits and pieces. And there's this one guy, and you get to see him doing his bits, and so I asked him to explain to me what his job was. And he said, well, as these parts come through, this machine stamps them. I got to put them through the caliber, make sure that ones that don't have the right quality weight, whatever, go that way. These ones go this way, and then I make sure everything goes through again. I'm like, great. So how you enjoy it? That's the job. I said, but why is that so important? He goes, well, those parts go to the client. They're wrong. They'll get sent back. We'll have to do rework. It's going to cost money. I said, really? That's why? I said, what if one of those parts get on my minivan? I drove a minivan at the time. I had a young family, please excuse me, but I drove a minivan at the time. And I said, what if those parts could put on my minivan? And I don't know if any of you have driven in the snow in Canada, right? So it's an experience. When you have a 400-car pileup on the highways, because anyway, that's a whole other story. But if you didn't do your job properly, and what do I have in that minivan with me? My family, my most prized possessions in life, in terms of my children, my wife, whatever, are in that car with me. And I don't even give it a moment of thought to whether you did your job right or not. And his face is like, I said, really, why your job exists is to make sure that my family's safe on the road. Because if you didn't do that job right, and it got through to those guys, and they put it on my minivan, and I had an accident, and it snapped because you didn't make sure it was the right weight or tensile or everything like, or had the right integrity of the material, my family could be dead. It's like I never thought about it like that. I said, well, that's the importance of your job. And changed the whole perspective on the way he looked at what he did. So he really understood the meaning. So, well, the purpose of the organization, but he could see why his job had a sense of meaning beyond making sure the customer, because nobody gets out of bed in the morning, can't wait to make the boss rich, but he got out of bed in the morning knowing that he was actually saving families' lives by doing his job right. And how much more do you think he was engaged in that role and paid more attention to the work he was doing now? He had a greater sense of meaning about it. You can help people find meaning in anything.
Do you think that lasted?
Absolutely. They had the record year that year, and because they had a request from Honda to get 30% cost reduction and 30% weight reduction in the work they did, and they did not know how the hell they were going to do that. And actually, when Ken, the CEO, finally called, I've been knocking on the door for 3 years, he said, Dave, we've got an impossible task. You need to come in and help us. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. Because the only way, they had no clue, the only way to do that was to get everybody engaged in the business and everybody thinking at a new level in the business so that it would create new results for the business, because the way they were thinking was not going to get the 30% reduction in weight and 30% reduction in cost.
I think what my friend here was saying was that if that person moves into another better job, then how's he going to find someone to replace that person?
Well, then that's the next step.
And that the thing is really to be able to have a vision for each of those roles.
Yes.
There's always going to be people that are going to want that job.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the whole point. So then once you do that, how much easier to replace that person if they get to understanding of why this role is really important. All of a sudden, because we just lose sight of why these things are so important in our business. And a lot of those people, and I think when we were here last time, there was an electrician in the room. And I think he asked a similar question. And he was saying, like, I've just got guys that have to crawl in roof spaces in 40-degree heat and do that. And I said, but there's always going to be people who are going to be looking for apprentices, and people that are coming up are going to be looking for those opportunities. But a lot of people who've gotten to a stage where they've just given up because they've been treated like that for so long, once again, they've been conditioned to think, that's my lot in life. This is it. It just sucks, and I'm just going to have to put up with it. And a lot of people die at 20 and get buried when they're 80. It's just because they've given up. And you're not going to necessarily be able to change it for everybody. I understand that. But this is the process. And that conditioning that they've received is very strong. So it can take time to unravel. Like a cable is just a wire with a whole bunch of other wires wrapped around it, right? And so it just gets stronger. So the more times we wrap stuff around it, the stronger that cable becomes, and it's harder to break. Well, that's a habit. That's conditioning. And the same thing, we have to unravel that one at a time and then rewire the new neural pathway for that person. And some people just aren't going to want to do that, and that's okay. It doesn't make them bad people. But we as an organization or leadership, we have to say, hang on, what can I help them find to do that will make their lives happier?
I could just see that Adam's purpose would be to help prevent people not getting skin cancer, because that's what you're doing, you provide service. So it's a different.
Yeah.
I just have difficulty with anodized windows. What your purpose would be, I guess. So.
But why do you anodize the windows? Or
Well, essentially they have to have a look. They have to have a finish. So,
Right.
yeah, I've always gone down the road of trying to inspire through kind of pictures and stuff like that.
Yep.
But it's a necessary part of the whole process.
Right.
You can't put windows in without treatment, and you have two options.
Why is that?
Well, it would corrode. It wouldn't stay.
And if those windows corrode, what happens?
Well, yeah, they start to fall out.
Well, they're also part of the integrity of the structure in a lot of cases too, right? In large commercial,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
The whole thing's falling down.
Yeah. So when you think about why your business really exists, it's nothing to do with the anodization. That's just what you do to make sure that whatever the problems of your customers are being met.
Yeah.
I work with, Glasgow?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, hey?
I work for them.
Yeah, so Todd and so up in there. So worked with those guys up in the Midwest, and their purpose, they realized, was actually to inspire design for a brighter future through glass, because what they realized is the problems in the world is that glass is actually the fifth horse in a 4-horse race. When you're in the construction, people think bricks, they think, and they're like, oh yeah, we should put some windows in. But if you look at where the world's going and the properties of glass and everything like that, glass is far more beautiful product and everything like that in a house or a commercial organization. And so we need to inspire design that actually creates a brighter future for the world through glass. And so they can see what they were passionate about and the problem that they wanted to solve in their world. And that's why they start doing things in leading edge technology and stuff, and what the future of glass is going to be. So working on what the future glass is, not just making window frames or glass panels, right? All the power of glass. This is an example, right? But that's a sense of purpose. And now they build all their goals based on how do we inspire this design for a brighter future through glass? Because if we don't, people aren't going to be looking at glass as the first horse. Why isn't glass the first thing people think about? I want to capture this moment here, and then I want to build around it. So how do we make glass number one? And then they start building their goals based on that, rather than saying, how do we continue to survive in a world where construction industry is, right? Getting a clearer sense of why your business exists. So from a human behavior to an organizational behavior, then, when you take all these human beings and you throw them together in your business, that's just organizational behavior or culture. And so we take the exact same process and we layered it over, then we look at goals. The mission of your business then, and this is where a lot of people get mission wrong, I think, or where we've been getting it wrong as a society for a very long time. How many organizations have you seen that have this really cool mission statement? It's a static mission statement and it's been there since the day they began, right? That's not what a mission is. It's like the mission, I just watched First Man last night. It was about Neil Armstrong going to the moon. Whether he did or not is another story. But anyway, as a Canadian, we're not sure. But yeah, Buzz Aldrin will punch you in the nose if you tell him that. He's done it to somebody before. But the first thing was to be the first person into space, which then the Russians did, right? That was a mission to space. They got there. And then the first person to do a walk freely, and that was the Russians. But then, okay, the next mission is we got to be first to the moon. And now it's mission to Mars. And so mission is like there's always a next mission after this mission. So if you have a static mission for your business, that's wrong. Because business is a series of evolutions. Is the business you have today the same as it was 5 years ago? Is the business you need 5 years from now the same as it is today? Business is a series of evolutions. Therefore, the mission, and no different to us as human beings, we are continually evolving as individuals. Who do I need to become to have the new results I'd like in my life, and what would I need to do that? Business is the same thing. Who does our business need to become in the next, or what does our business need to become in the next 3 or 5 years? What goals would we achieve to show that we've become that? What behaviors do we need to take to achieve those goals? It's the same process, just layered over the organization. And so now you say, we're actually going to look at who do we need to be to have what we want in an organization, and how do we need to behave as an organization. And an interesting part of that, in an organization, what tells you how to behave? What's the thinking of your organization? And that should be your values. Why having values in your organization is critical, because values are unique thinking. It tells us how to think as an organization, which then tell us how to behave as an organization. Because if people understand why they buy from you, or what problem you're there to solve, which is great. So we found out we're here to solve this problem, but so are a lot of other businesses. But here's why they choose us, because how we think around here. The unique thinking of our business. And this is really important from goal setting point of view, is now we know why, and we're going to build goals around that, but our business exists. What's going to guide us towards fulfilling that purpose in the world is our values, which is unique thinking. And I would challenge most of you to take a look at your values of your organization. How many of you have values? A couple of you have values? Some of you don't have values yet? If you don't have values, it's great. If you do have values, do you know what they are? Because if you don't know what your values are and you have them, and you're the leader of your business, shame on you. Secondly, you don't have values because you don't know what they are. You have bumper stickers, marketing placards, whatever you want to call them, they're not really values. Because unless you're leading, living them, and loving them in everything that you do, they're not really values. They're just really cool marketing things that make people think you're really awesome. But your values are the unique thinking of our business, and that thinking drives how we behave as an organization. It keeps us in check. They're the guardians of our purpose, which then helps us create the business that we need to see. Make sense? So, same process for human behavior. It's the exact same process for organizational behavior. All we need to do is change the inputs. And from conditioning point of view, that's just coaching now. As we talk, people are looking for coaches, not bosses. And on every single occasion, so if we know what this new thing is here, my job as a leader, this is leadership, is to take all the things that we need to do and then on every single occasion coach my team to think more in alignment with the values, because I know the more they think in alignment with the values of our business, they'll start behaving the right way. Those behaviors will move us towards achieving our goals and will help us become the business we need to become. And this is where we should be setting goals from. And in a bigger picture, it looks like this. Okay, so this is all combined. And what I'll do, so I'll hand these out now. Just want to take one and pass it along. Something I prepared for you earlier. This is what I call the model business canvas. It's what I've created to actually help organizations really put their whole culture and strategy and goals all on one piece of paper. And kind of then you can transform it into what the really cool stuff that you guys do here with Bob, which is great. But what I want to just ask you to take a look at is, if you have a purpose for your organization, you can write it in there. So at the bottom of it, it allows you to say, our business exists to. This is how you should be able to articulate your business purpose. Our business exists to whatever it is, problem you're passionate about solving in the world for people. And when you know what that is, then we want to move up to looking at what your values are, and we value this, 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 and this. And when we say these things, here's what it means. You need to not only what you value, but you need to have a definition of it. What's your organization's definition of that value? So one of my core values is simplicity. I value simplicity. And to me, that means freedom from complexity. So I take a look at things as how can I remove complexity from this process or whatever, or this organization, to make it simplistic. And so when I talk about simplicity, it means freedom from complexity. Does it mean it's going to be like as simple as possible? No, but I'm going to seek to remove as much complexity from that as I can, because I value simplicity. Because I also think the easier it is for people to understand, the easier it is for them to take action on. Which is why I've simplified this process. So what do I value and what do I mean by that? So when you're working at your values of your organization, you need to have that. And then what I challenge businesses is, if you said you value, one of the organizations that I led, not-for-profit, safety was its number one core value. Okay, and I should be able to walk into that organization and go, hey, I see this, I see this, I see this, I see this. You guys must really value safety. You shouldn't have to tell me what your values are. The behaviors you demonstrate in your organization should show that you value those things. So what I ask organizations is, what would I see happening in your business to tell me that you really value that? Because all of a sudden that starts to tell you the way you need to act in your organization. So we value safety, here's our definition of it, and here's the things that we would be doing to demonstrate we truly value that. Because then when you walk in, are we living our values, yes or no? If you have a picture of what it looks like, and you can see what you see, now you have two pictures, and your job is to make those two pictures match. Okay? So this is why it's important to have your values. So you got a purpose that drives you, got values that are going to guide your organization. Then from a goal setting point of view, this is where it starts to get into goals, is say 10 years from now, if this is why our business exists and these are the values that are going to guide us in fulfilling that purpose in the world, what does the world look like 10 years from now because we fulfilled that purpose through these values? Right? If you start imagining what that world would look like I see a world where every business is led on purpose first. 20 years from now, I see a world where purpose is going to be the first thing, because I know that the next generations are only going to want to work with organizations like that. People are only going to want to engage with, in terms of consumerism, with organizations that are solving my problems and care about me, not about yourself. You care about me. And so I see a stage where eventually we're going to get to the stage where everybody goes, geez, you know what? We should be leading our business by purpose first. And that's the world I see in 20 years from now. And it's as simple as that for me. Because I know my purpose and my values, and that's the world I see 10 years from now. So if that's the world I see 10 years from now, it's pretty hard for me to start setting goals 10 years out. But if I just thought, okay, in the next 3 years, what business do I need to build in the next 3 years to start creating that world that I see? Once again, we're anticipating the future needs of our customers. We're looking into the future, not building a business that serves us today on what it was, because the organization you have today was designed to get you the results you have today. What we're setting goals for is to build the organization we need for the results we need 3 years from now. So mission to me is the evolution of my business. What's the evolution of my business in the next 3 years that's going to help me see that picture 10 years from now? And I say, okay, so this is the mission of my business. Who I need to become. There it is. I say, well, so what would I have achieved in the next 3 years to show that I've become that business? Well, I would have done this, 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 and this. 2 years from now, I will have, what would I need to have done? Well, I need to have this, at least of that done, and that much of that, and that much of that. What do I need to do in the next 12 months to know that I've got that under track? Well, if I just do this in the next 12 months, here's the goals that I need to work on. Great. And then all I need to do from that goes, what do I need to do in the next 90 days to start making those goals a reality? So all of a sudden now, I've built my business from why it exists to how we think, to what the world's going to look like, and what business do I need to build to make that a reality? So this is when we talk about culture and strategy and alignment. We've hacked culture and strategy, and we've put them together. Because we're building a business that solves these problems. But not for today, but for tomorrow. And we've reverse engineered it to what we need to do today to start making that a reality. And then if we pare that right down just in what I need to do in the next 90 days to start making things happen, what's my 90-day action plans? And what I call the next 90. All I'm ever worried about, what's my next 90? Because I know everything I've already created has already been in total alignment. All I have to worry about is the next 90 days. I don't have to worry about much else. So my strategy or strategic meetings are every quarter. What's the next 90 days? What's the next 90 days? What's the next 90 days? And then as I'm moving towards those horizons, the strategic horizons, I'm 12 months into this, and that's where I need to be in 3 years. I just keep pushing it out. Because what's a horizon?
As far as you can see.
As far as you can see, right? It's a mental construct. Can you actually go to the horizon? No. But yeah, as you get closer to, you think you're getting closer to it, it keeps going further away. That's why I call them strategic horizons. So we're always going after this mental construct, but we keep moving because business is a series of evolutions. So we need to keep evolving. So that horizon keeps moving out into the distance. But I can see, as far as I can see is 3 years, in my mind, for example. So that's as far as I can see. So I walk as far as I can see, then I can see a little further. And I walk a little further, and I can see a little further. The business goal setting is the same thing. But it starts with understanding what world you want to create 10 years or 20 years from now, and just focusing on what do I need to build in the next 3 years, next 12 months, what do I need to do in the next 90 days. How do you eat an elephant? Spoonful at a time, right? So 90 days. I can digest 90 days. My team can digest 90 days. But most people actually have 90-day action plans. But my question is, are they actually aligned to building the business that you need or the business you have? Goal setting should be about building the business that you need, not the one that you have. So that's what that process, and that's what that canvas allows you to do, is to start breaking that down. Then you can just start allocating those 90-day action plans or getting your team involved in, okay, we need to achieve this goal. What do you think? How would you do it? All on one piece of paper. Does that make sense to people? This is how we create in total alignment. And I think if you start building your goals in your organization with this in mind, and you have those pieces in place, you're building the business that you want and that you need to solve the problems in the future, so you stay relevant. And you're building the organization that's actually going to continue to solve the problems for your customers. So therefore, you're going to continue to generate your profitability, because you're going to be building it on the way it needs to be done in the future, not just the way it's done today. Unlike the other organizations that chose not to do that. So that's what it is in terms of setting a goal, is actually picking the right target, not any target. And when you think about that, here's some different things that people look at from some different types of goals you can be setting. Obviously profitability, and I'll talk about profit a little bit more in a moment, but productivity, customer growth, or types of customers that you want to have, talent, people, whatever you want to call it, the actual physical growth, which could be the size or scope or region or market, totally how you want to look at, your marketing, technology. All these things need to be taken into consideration. That business that we need to build in the next 3 years, we need to become this. How profitable does it need to be? How productive does it mean? How would we define productivity? What type of customers do we have? What size of customer? What scope of customers? Whatever it might be. What talent do we need to have? Growth regionally, market size. What marketing plan do we need to have in place? What technology do we need to embrace? So there's just some ideas about some goals areas to think about. These are the key result areas in your business that you might need to consider, right? So remember, goals are the key result areas. These are the result areas we need to accomplish. And the 90-day action plans are the key performance indicators. And a key performance indicator, or KPI, it says pretty much what the title says. These are things that indicate if we do these things right, we should achieve those results. Because sometimes we can't track the results every day or every week or whatever it might be. Based on the way we gather stats. But what we can say, if we do these things correctly, we should be on track to achieving. These are the performance indicators. If we perform well here, we'll indicate that we'll achieve these results. So understand where KRAs are your goals, and then your behaviors are your KPIs. So for those in very logical and business terms. So we might have key result areas here. What are the key performance? We have put some metrics to those. But then what's the key performance indicators that we would be doing to show us that we're on target, we're on track to achieve those things? And in some organizations, it's just a simple goal map. So a 12-month goal broken down into 90 days. You can break those into 30-day projects. Then you get into daily projects. Once again, the smaller, the more digestible, but it has to be done in alignment. This is not new stuff, I assure you, and you guys are probably feel like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. But the challenge is making sure that the 12-month goal is, what do I need to do in the next 12 months to build the business that I need to build 3 years from now? Not the business I have today. Because if you just want to repeat last year's stuff, then go ahead and do that. You don't really need to set goals to do that. Just keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to achieve something you've never achieved before, then you need to do things you've never done before. Therefore, you need to build something you've never built before. Anyone seen Profit First, the book? It's a great book. It's called Profit First, and which may sound in contradiction to what I'm talking to you about. But what it says, I'll just put it up here. There's an old formula for business, and once again, business fundamentals, and Alan and John, you can tell me if I'm correct here, but you want to increase your sales while decreasing your costs, increasing and maintaining your quality, and when you do those things, it should equal profitability. Business fundamentals, business 101, make sense? Sorry?
No, sorry.
Oh yeah, okay. So what Profit First, the book says, which is an interesting way to look at it, it's more so when you're in this formula, it says, what sales or revenue do you want to make? Then take your profit that you'd like to make from that, and that will tell you how much expense you have to use. Right? So that's what that book talks about. So it's an interesting, I just wanted to throw that in as an interesting way to think about profit in your organization. If you say we want to make $100,000 this year, and we're predicting to make, or then we're going to say, well, we're going to put on $500,000 in revenue, we want to make 100, we have 400,000 to spend. So then you have to build your business on how would I spend 400,000 to create that business that I need to solve those problems in the world for people. It just starts thinking at a different level or a different way of your business. I'm not saying that's the right way. I just want to introduce it as another possibility in terms of engaging your mind in, rather than saying, we're going to do this, going to do that, and it's going to only leave us this much. Well, how much do you want? How much do you want your business to make so you can reinvest? Because we need it. Once again, profit to a business is like oxygen to us as human beings. We need it to survive, but you weren't born just to breathe. Right? But we need to put oxygen back into our business. Because if you want to solve more problems for more people, you're going to need different resources and technologies and things like that to grow your business. So you need to make a profit. It's not a dirty word. This just challenges how you look at it. Do you put it first, or do you put it last? And how much profit can we make versus this is how much I want to make, how much revenue, and then what expenses does that leave me to be able to spend? So I have to build this business and build it like that. One thing I challenged a bunch of salespeople in a real estate agency, actually. I said, imagine you had no marketing budget, $0 to spend on marketing, and you still wanted to drive the same amount of sales that you did for your organization. How would you do it with $0? And if nothing else, it just engaged their mind in thinking about different ways, because it's easy to throw money at a problem, right? It's easy to say, well, we'll just have to spend more money on this. But if you said, take money off the table, so now how would you do it? It just at least starts you thinking at a different level, allows a different level of creativity in your mind to how you'd solve that problem. So when you're thinking about solving your goals, I just wanted to put that in there as a way to challenge your thinking, whether you do it that way or not in the end, but it challenges your thinking about, well, if I only had this much to spend, how would I spend it? Because a lot of times we just arbitrarily go through, here it is, take that minus that, well, it's going to leave us with this. Why don't you start with what you want, and then reverse engineer that? Once again, it's just a different level of thinking. And because how I think determines how I act, we need to think differently. So if it does nothing else but at least forces you to think differently about your business and say, come up with different ways to be more effective or efficient or handle and solve those problems for your customers, then it was worth the exercise. Whether you choose to put that number down or not is irrelevant. What is more is how do I get my mind engaged in doing something different? Right? No different to saying if we were going to cross the road and we're going to put that business out of business, how would we do that? Because I'm sure everybody else is thinking about that. But we never think about that about our own business. So this is why I always want to engage people at a different level of thinking, because I know a different level of thinking will create a different level of behaviors. How you get that different level of thinking is just coming from asking different questions to what you would normally ask. Okay? And then you just build out your quarterly action plan. So what do I need in the next 12 weeks, 11 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever the particular actions are. And imagine if everybody had that up in their workstations. And this is where, for business owners, I would challenge you to you walk into your office. This is my office, and you all have you're all in this part of this team. And I could go, okay, great, I walk by. Before I get to my desk, I can look at the action plans, where we're at, the top 3 measures, we're winning or not, walk around, go around, go around. And by the time I get back to my desk, sit down, I already have my finger on the whole pulse of the organization. I already know where we're at in every aspect of our business. Visual management, it's already up on the wall in terms of here's the key 3 measures that we're tracking and that each individual is tracking on their own performance. And then I can see the action plan, and here we are, we're at week whatever. We're at week 5, what should be done? What is done? I can just walk around and have my finger on the pulse of the whole business and be back at my desk in half an hour after meeting every single person, or just even walking by, not even having to talk to them, because it's already up there every week. How cool would that be to manage your business? Then you can spend more time leading. Because once I've got the management, the science part done, because management's all about science, leadership is the art. Now I can go sit down with people, hey, I was noticing that we're here and there. How's that going? What's happening? Tell me what you're thinking. What are you working on? Right? Because I want to know what my people are thinking. Because I already know how I want us to think. Here's how we think in terms of our values, not what to think. Here's how we think. So I already know the thinking I want. What I don't know is the thinking we have. And in coaching, you need to know those 2 points. Where are we? Where do we need to be? What thinking do we have? What thinking do we want? And my job then is just to coach that gap all day long to close that and move that thinking closer and closer into the alignment of the unique thinking of our business, because I know scientifically that how they think determines how they behave. And if this is how I want people in our team to think in terms of the unique thinking of our business to achieve this organization, then all I need to do is bring them into alignment. Yep.
Can that also be applied? We're thinking about the people that are working for you, but also the people that you're servicing, your customer base. Like I often ask my customers, what do you want? What sort of fabrics are you looking for?
Absolutely.
What sort of garments are what you want for me to bring into Perth? I often ask my regular customers for feedback.
Yep.
And that helps me identify what I bring into Perth, changing my wholesalers and selecting those garments so I'm more successful. But even my staff, they're all chosen from different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
I've got Turkish, Arabic, Egyptian, I've got Somali, I've got Afghan, I've got Iraqi. So all of them have different languages, and I speak to their communities, the mosque, so that I capture that audience.
Which is great. So when you started your business, were you buying stuff from other organizations?
Correct. And
But you couldn't find what you wanted, could you?
Yeah, I want to do my own line.
Yeah, but you couldn't, because you couldn't find exactly what you wanted from the other ones, correct?
I'm moving between different wholesalers that provide me with better product,
Right, either better quality or actually fit with what you're looking for.
bit of everything.
Okay, so there was a little gap in the market there that wasn't being met,
Yes.
and you weren't in that industry beforehand, were you?
No.
So,
Fashion industry is completely.
okay, this is the important part to understand. Was Travis and the guy from Uber, were they actually in the taxi company when they created Uber?
No.
No, they weren't in the taxi industry. Was the 2 guys in San Francisco who rented out their flat with an air mattress in the accommodation business before they chose to do that? No. Did the 2 guys who started Netflix, were they have an entertainment company before they started doing that? No. All of them were pissed off customers.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, and that's my point. So, yeah, that's right, but you're a pissed off consumer. Right? So if you're not anticipating the future needs of your customers or building an organization that's going to do that or evolving to become that, or getting your people engaged to thinking about what do our clients need that we're not providing them today, and we're building our goals and our business around that, guess what? Somebody else will and you'll be out of business. Or you'll lose your market share or whatever it might be. Right? Some of the biggest disruptors in the world today were started off by pissed off consumers. Unhappy customers who weren't having their needs met, said, bugger this, we'll just go start it ourselves. Because how easy is it to start a business today? They weren't anticipating the future needs of their clients. So when you're building your business, I know logically it makes sense to just say, okay, well, we always want a 10% increase in this and a 10% increase in that. All I'm asking you is to start thinking a little bit different and say, hang on, what business do I need to build in 3 years from now? To anticipate the future needs of my clients, what would I need to do in the next 12 months to start building that 3-year plan or that mission, that new evolution of the business, and then start attacking that with a 90-day action plan. If you start thinking from that perspective, and profits fits into there as one of the things we need to do. It's not about how do I generate $100,000 in profit, and then who can I serve to do that? It's why does my business exist? What do I need to build to make that a reality? And then what goals would I need to achieve? And profit fits in with that. Profit is just a measure of how well you're solving problems for people and how many people you're solving it for. And if you continue to make profit, it means that you've been adapting to Microsoft's challenge or whatever it might be, as they're looking to say, we're going to take that piece of business away from you. That's fine. That's not really what I do for my clients anyway. What I do for my clients that you can't do for them is this. Right? Now, one other thing I like to challenge people once again is about reframing things. So we're here all in the business. This is our organization. We're all in this together. I walk up to you guys and say, hey, guess what? I'm implementing a change management program. We're going to make some changes around here. What do you think everyone's going to start thinking? Yeah, well, I've heard this before. Crap, I'm going to lose my job, whatever. Totally negative. Now, have we got people engaged with that? No. But if I walked up the same team, okay, guys, hey, what do you see as the next evolution of our business? how do you think we need to evolve in the next 3 years to solve our problems for our clients? What response might you get from all the people around your table?
Surprised that management cares what we think
Yeah.
as well.
Because you know what? All the power's at the top, but all the knowledge is at the bottom in an organizational structure, I assure you, in a lot of cases, because we're not listening to what they have to say. But also when you say, we know we need to evolve or change, but if you come in with the mindset, we're going to implement change management, we need to change this business to meet the needs of our customers, the word change just goes negative. But if I ask a question and say, hey, how would we need to evolve this business? What do you think the next evolution of our business looks like? Because you know how we were 4 years ago and now we're this today and that. What do you see in the next 3 years in terms of what we need to do? All of a sudden everyone's engaged in finding ways or putting their 2 cents worth in about that. They're a part of the process now. So then when you do go to make the changes and growth that you need to do, and they go, oh, hang on, no, that was your idea. Oh yeah, that's right, it was, wasn't it? All of a sudden we remove the negative bias towards the growth of the business. Because human beings are wired not to change, including you as leaders. That's why this whole more science and everything like that and emotional context, because we're wired not to change. And that's why it's so hard to push through. And one favorite quote of mine, it's not mine, but Eric Worre, it's his, it's just remember, it's hard to look good and get better at the same time. Okay. Yeah, yeah, but as soon as you have that done, you know what you look like before. Once it settles down, it's different. But that's right. Yeah, a natural Botox. Yeah. That's right. But it's hard to look good and get better at the same time. So as a business, as we go out and we strive to anticipate, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have some challenges. You're going to have some failures. Understand, embrace that that's just part of the process. Don't give up and go back to what you've always done because it didn't work the first time, or we tried that before. Well, that's just the way it is, Dave. You don't understand our industry. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? If this is the business you need to build, then you need to press through and create that organization. It's the only way you will survive and stay relevant in the future. So pretty much, and that's just like a filled out. This is one of my own quarterly action plans that I had set up. So I just sort of one that's filled in. That's as simple as to keep it. And behind there in the software, it tells all the different bits and pieces. But I can walk by, if I know what week it is, so we're at week 6, to say, hey, Dave, how's the social media plan going? Your sales tool should already been developed. It should be out there. Are you using it? What's going on with it? So I have it just color-coded. Dark blue is actually create, and the light blue is implement. So for that action plan. But once again, just a sample, just to show you how simple you can have it. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. So I'm free from complexity. Keep it very simple. Keep the vision big, but the plan simple. So pretty much that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I'm very happy to take any questions. I don't know time-wise how we are, John. You know me, I never care about time. I just keep going until you tell me to stop. Yeah? Yeah?
I'm in a situation where I grew very fast, very quickly in a short period of time. And my problem is funding that next step. And I'm at that next step where I'm now getting approached by shopping centres to come and open up in their shops because they've identified that there is a need, and they've come to the table and negotiated a really cheap rent, which I can't let go of. And it's moving into that next stage because I'm going into different areas. But with all businesses, as everybody knows, the funding is what stops the growth.
Yep.
Because you want it to go that further. You have a projection, you have an idea, but there's restraints to get to that next step.
Yeah.
You said, how can you do things without money?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. How can I...
Or as little amount of money as possible. Yeah.
As little as you can, like anything. Nothing costs, nothing's free, especially in business, unless you are networked and you've got that support.
Yep.
I'm at that stage where I want to go the next step. And this is why Ellen and John have invited me along, because we have friends in common, which is my broker.
Yep.
And I approached him and said, I want to go the next stage.
Right.
So, and I've got a future and my objection, my whole theory is to go take over WA in my fashion.
Awesome.
And
Why so small?
pardon?
Why so small?
Well, I want to head to Darwin, and I'm very interested in developing an app.
Yep.
Because like Mondanisa does that now.
Yep.
And I reckon I'm already getting Cocos Island. I'm already getting Darwin.
Yep.
I'm already getting Tasmania. I'm getting
Yep.
down south. I'm already getting the east.
Yep.
Port Hedland, Geraldton.
Great. So,
And I just want to, like, I'm looking, going.
so what's your question?
How do you get to that next step?
Okay. So two things, and maybe John and Alan can answer one of them. But firstly, there's a difference between growing your business and scaling your business. Does everybody understand the difference between growth and scaling? Right. So just fundamentally. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very quickly. Very simply. The way, once again, simplifying it. When you grow your business, is I'm going to do more of this. I need more of this.
Yes.
It's doing more with more.
Yes.
Scaling your business is say, I want to do more with less or equal to. So I'm not adding any more, but I'm going to be able to do more. I'm scaling, right? So it's more with less or more with the same, whereas growth is more with more. So I want to increase my sales, so I'm going to grow my business. So I'm going to put on a salesperson, pay $100,000 a year for this really cool salesperson to put on $200,000 a year. That's growing your business. Or finding ways to streamline and automate and some of the back-end processing of your sales force so you can free up these salespeople to go make more sales. You might have a smaller investment, but you can put on that extra $200,000 worth of sales without adding a salesperson. That's scaling. It's finding ways to scale the business, versus growing your business. So firstly for that, so my challenge to you is, do you want to grow your business or scale your business? Because putting in a shop front or going into a shop, that's possibly growing because you're adding expense to reach a bigger market. And I'm not saying it's the wrong strategy. I'm just saying, understanding that's growth. Or scale would be possibly building the app that you can reach the world or whatever your world is for that investment, which might be the same annual investment as what the whole shop front might be for the whole year, but you might have to pay that up front in an app, but that allows you to scale all across the country.
Yeah. I suppose with my sort of industry, people like to see, feel and touch before they buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Zappos is the largest shoe seller in the world.
Yeah.
Do people get to touch their shoes first? No.
No.
So is that your perception? What are the future needs of your customers going to be? Right now they might appreciate it, feel, or you can have it where they can sample some stuff in different places, or you could send samples out in the mail. I don't know. I'm saying my mind doesn't get locked on. It has to be this way. But I know from clothing, Zappos is the largest retailer of men's shoes or even ladies' shoes in the world today. Yeah. Got bought out by, or owned now by, not bought out by, but owned by Amazon. Billions of dollars. I don't get to try those shoes on until they arrive at my door. I don't even know if they're going to be the right fit. But they have a whole fitting thing, a whole thing. And the way they've got their technology, I mean, they're much more advanced now. But they started like that, and then you can just do a return. Netflix was actually the same way. You used to have your DVD sent to you first. It wasn't online. And then you put them back and send them back.
One thing I've learned in all business is that the money eventually happens, the money somehow. And so we might use that as a sort of a bulk process in the second half with Bob. Because I mean, everyone has the same issues. Everyone in this room has had the same issues of where do you get the money from?
Yes.
And sometimes you can do it
Lots
through
of hard
cash.
work.
Yeah, well, you get through cash flow, or you get through investors, or you get it through funding, whatever. You always find the money somehow if it's a good idea.
Yeah, and eventually the social proof of the people who have touched and felt your garments, and you have that all over your website, and people that are, and referral and testimonials and all that, people are like, okay, everyone else,
Why
yeah.
I've got where I have now.
Yeah,
Because now,
but don't let that be what stops you.
have bought, now they
Yeah.
buy online. Now they do email, now they do Instagram,
Yep.
Facebook. That's how I'm getting orders
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, but there's one something, it's our mindset that stops us, that's all. Yeah, yep, yeah. Yeah.
And certainly HSS are using your process. And
Yeah, absolutely.
into their offices, and he's got all these 90-day plans, and
Yeah.
they're all, they're all buzz, and they all know where they're going and that sort of stuff. So I've sort of seen it in action.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they're pretty focused on where they're going.
And interesting enough, so Steve's not here right now, but what they're working on right now is making sure they have a unified voice now, that they're speaking the language of HSS in terms of their marketing, and they're going out and they're calling people to their purpose and their values and the organization that they're building. They're going out and talking to the market like that because everybody in their industry speaks like a recruitment or labor hire company. How do you stand out differently when you're the 10th recruitment company I've seen here? Like it just...
Sort of the business owners, certainly people in this room, are finding it difficult when they're in today, right, creating that future. and that's the challenge all the time is, and they're all doing good in today, but how do they think, well, what's going to happen in 3 years' time? Because they're dealing with, an Afghan sewer who hasn't turned up today, or a Burmese loader on the anodizing line that hasn't turned up today, or a product failure, or whatever it is. That's really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why we need to get the whole team involved in the same reason why we're all here. And then everybody answers to something first, not to someone. And then therefore you're freed up to do a bunch of other things. Or when you have that culture at that same level, when everybody's bought into that, we're all talking about the same purpose through the same values, that's when you're actually out of your business. Your business exists whether you're there or not. That's when you're really free to go and do and add value or possibly cause trouble from your employees' mindset. But they used to tell me, like, I'm here to add value. No, you're here to cause trouble, right? But in today's world, you need to cause some trouble. So how do you get yourself out of your business? So it exists whether you're there or not. That's the goal. There's being in your business, there's being on your business, and then there's being out of your business. And all of you as business owners understand your business is worth way more when you're not in it. Right? Not that you have to leave it or sell it, but if you can build a business there, the value is increased anyway. But also it frees you up to really do what you're there to do. Anyway, so sorry.
Curious.
Yeah.
The real estate scenario.
Yep.
How long did it take for people to come up with an idea for marketing without money? Was it a hard thing for them?
No, actually. It was actually pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them, and actually it's quite funny because they weren't getting the activity levels that they wanted in terms of the stuff. And the reason I did that exercise because I knew exactly what the owners wanted them to do, which is actually go out and do more face-to-face meetings and go do more networking events and stuff because they were relying so much on social media and all this sort of stuff that they lost the essence of that personal connection with people and networking and stuff. And so they said, well, we could do this, we could do that, and started writing on the board and said, okay, when are we going to start doing some of that? Because they always get to the stage where just put $100 on this Facebook ad and so they were almost like not having to do anything anymore. Well, if we do that, I don't need you, right?
So easy to fall into that trap. Just throw money at it, and sort it out.
That's right. So take money off the table. I'm not saying it has to be off the table. How would I do it? How would I grow my business or scale my business without money? Could be distribution networks. It could be whatever. I don't know. But if we start a different level of thinking, that's what we need to do. Ask different questions, which drives different thinking. All right? And that's why it worked really quickly. And that was the whole point of it, was to get back because they got so complacent and relaxed about all that. I'll take care of by doing that, and we don't have to do that anymore. And they all be sitting in their offices waiting for the phone to ring. And when you're a sales organization like a real estate agent, which is built on relationship and carrying the crap out of people with their most expensive or most prized value that they've sweat and tears for 20 years to create, and you're sitting on your ass waiting for the phone to ring. That's exactly what I said to them. And they're like, well, seriously, I'm not going to get you to sell or buy my home for me because you don't care about me. If you did, you'd be out talking to me right now. So, anyway.
Going to bring it to an end there.
Yeah.
So, Dave, thank you very much. You've certainly created a lot of thought and discussion, which is fantastic. We'll continue some of that after the break. But now we need to work. So I thank Dave for...
Thank you.